Hey everyone, it's Tom. It's FANzine Live. We're looking at classic zines today, or I guess we should say a compilation of classic zines, because we are looking at the complete Jontar, a very large, very thick piece put out by Floating World Comics in association with the gang over at Power Comics. You can't talk about Jontar without talking about Power Comics, because the gang at Power Comics have, how would you say this best, created an entire genre that they can appreciate of this idea of a power comic. They celebrate the old, the amateurish, the handmade, the no holds barred type of comic. And they hold it up and they celebrate it and they have fun reading it, and it's often wild and goofy and fantastic. But there's also the chance to celebrate the creators on their way up the ladder, if you will. This reminds me so much, when I was reading it, it reminded me so much of some of the Insect Man stuff that I've read from TE, from That's Entertainment, the comic shop in Worcester, Massachusetts, when Paul Howley would have local artists create mini comics of his character, Insect Man. Also, maybe it's the motorcycle, I don't know what, but it reminds me a lot of my character, the Light. And yeah, we had a motorcycle as well. This is actually 1987. Tony Lorenz drew this cover back in 1986. So we're really talking about the same vintage. And you can get a sense of what the hot style was in artwork by looking at what we were doing in 86, 87, and what you will see inside of Jontar. This is Anthony Gray, Matt Kanarakis. Let's put this off to the side. We're looking at Jontar, not my stuff. Very nice book. Incredibly well done. Professionally printed. Nice reflective silver for the title, which is, it sure looks like it was hand-drawn. And the sword itself. Then on the back, I think this might actually be one of my favorite pictures from the whole thing, because the use of the color is so creative, and having the ricocheting bullets off of this Jontar sword is a great touch. Might as well read this while we're at it. It says, male stripper and street sanitation worker Jontar finds his mulleted, naive existence is about to seriously change after the discovery of a disappearing elf in a trash can and a near-fatal stabbing. Jontar's soul is transported to the dream dimension of the master elf keeper, who resurrects him as his chosen earthly sword-bearing avenger to lead in some of the most delightfully what-the-heck adventure comics have ever seen. Yeah. There were 9 issues with Bill Miller's singular vision, which included petrified elves, lizard lords, Christian punk cults, and even a gritty 90s style reboot. Over 300 pages. And yeah, there's some new material in the back that has never been seen. I appreciate that the cover, the end papers, these are Tony Lorenz. We remember Tony Lorenz, of course, because Tony Lorenz has done... He did Patriot with me, and he's done a ton of stuff in Heroes Now. So this is modern Tony Lorenz. What I learned in reading this was 17-year-old Tampa native Tony Lorenz. 17 years old. Bill Miller is not a internet savvy individual. He actually hand typed some of the pages in here. But yeah, this is Tony Lorenz's, one of his first, if not his first, comics gigs. This is the work that he did. And it reminds me, Tony Lorenz, and especially the stuff from Anthony Gray, just very similar. The triangled paneling, like here and here. The way he does the streetscapes and all. Now, one thing you should notice is that Lorenz, even back in his early days, was sure to do backgrounds. And when he doesn't do backgrounds, he'll go as far as to go with black. Is this the best stuff Tony's ever done? No, it's not. However, as a historical piece to show where he came from at 17 and where he is now today, as he sits in, and yes, there is one, the Power Comics Hall of Fame. He's the inaugural member of it. This is really impressive. Now, as I understand, Miller was trying to get this comic sold out at comic shops in the direct market in the 80s. So we're talking the same era of the black and white boom, the 1986 stuff that Jim Rugg wrote about, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all of their follow-on work. Is it trippy? Absolutely. Is it weird? Absolutely. Oh, there's our ricocheting sword. I love it. So Tony does a really nice job on this. I'm not going to talk much about the story. The story is kind of weird. At risk of throwing some cold water on this thing, Bill Miller is not my favorite writer. But again, I wasn't that good back in '86 either. So the reaction to Tony wasn't as positive, and I don't know what else happened. But Jontar 2 is now done by a person named Dane Barrett. And you can immediately see the shift. Tony has rather full featured panels, sticks pretty much with the idea of panel borders. This page starts getting a little out there, but largely a traditionalist as far as his style. Sticks with the conventions of a 6-panel grid. And then you go to this, and Dane Barrett really doesn't do much with his backgrounds. His shading is minimal. His characters look nice. I don't think they're particularly better than Tony's. So maybe there was something else going on. Interesting kind of flashback type thing. Always fun to have the person reading the book and then have the characters in the background. A little bit of sci-fi. And clearly Dane can do backgrounds. He just chose not to do it. So was it a speed thing? Was it a comfort thing? I don't know. But I mean, a page like this where you have this much white space with minimal shading going on, it just screams out for more. Then in number 3, we switch again. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is Dane again. David Horton did the cover. And it, probably was a decent cover art. Are you catching how nice these pages are from a remastering point of view? I mean, this is really clean stuff. Blacks are beautiful. Nice white matte paper. And when Dane, again, chooses to do his backgrounds, it looks pretty good. Getting better as a cartoonist. But yeah, elves, sanitation workers, cults, the whole thing. Then he switches to, and we are now looking at issue 4 with Daniel Walker. Again, I'm not sure this is a step up. You almost wonder if Miller was just looking for somebody to be able to do the job on time. If I read correctly in some of the back matter, timeliness was an important thing. But Jontar goes away for a while, and then that reboot that we were talking about, this individual Tom Tarpey came in and did the reboot in 1990. Again, not the greatest artwork. I mean, this is FANzine grade artwork. It's all been FANzine grade artwork. I think that Tony's modern stuff is head and shoulders better than all of this. But they try. I mean, you've got at least some creative layout work. And when you spend some time and make a really nice looking profile, it comes out good. When you don't, it doesn't look so good. Nice looking splash page there. This is Jack Kiefer, and you can tell by this point that Miller, who is behind the Jontar thing, has realized that a good cover can sell a lot of comics. And then we get to Crosswhite, Rob Crosswhite. Kind of interesting to see how cartooning styles have changed. I mean, there are so many similarities between the many different cartoonists' styles here with Jontar, all the way from Tony Lorenz on, in how cartoons were done, how comics were done, and so heavily influenced by the big two, DC and Marvel. Whereas these days, you wouldn't find anybody drawing like this. Everybody draws basically like a variation on Japanese and anime. Crosswhite does this. That's a pretty stiff fight scene there. I can see what he's trying to do. And Crosswhite got his own cover for this issue, number 5. And is getting better. I mean, just pro grade? I don't think so. Then they threw in some back matter. So this is where basically the story ends. And that was 1991. And these are some of the reproductions of how it looked in color. Of course, the first issue was not in color. Then they did spot color for issue 2. issue 3, went away from it for issue 4, and then holy cow, Jontar returns. Flat color for you. Probably spent some money on that though. So I appreciate that. Bill Miller's first published work, The Stalker and the Sneak, published in '83 in Paul Curtis's Micro Comics. Then Evan Husney, one of the people behind Power Comics, put in an interview. And then you get this. Lorenz has a small piece here, and he knows that he did the art on issue 2. If we recall correctly, issue 2 was drawn by Dane Barrett. That's the one that was released. Tony, however, had drawn issue 2, and Miller never printed it. So they found this in Miller's material, in his attic or garage or basement or what have you. And this is the Tony Lorenz version of the exact same thing. You can see the Camel Gold by Tony Lorenz and Bill Miller. Camel Gold, right there. So that's his version of finding the gold camel, and this is the version of finding the gold camel. So kind of an interesting way to compare, contrast how it was done. But it does give you a chance to look at some more old Tony Lorenz artwork. I know I'm biased. I have a working relationship with Tony, and I think that this stuff is better. I'm not sure why Miller chose to instead go with this. I don't know. Some more Tony Lorenz artwork. I do like this. It reminds me so much of the Fantastic Four's flying vehicle. So he did that. Then we've got some afterwards stuff, some other material. Looks like some more Tom Tarpey. So there you go. The complete Jontar. Again, shiny. Very nice. It's a great looking book. It's a really out there story. The artwork is okay for what it is. I'd love to see how the other artists are doing these days, if they're still in the business, if they're still drawing, because I'd love to see how they've changed and grown, because I can tell you, this Tony Lorenz stuff for a 17-year-old is really admirable. However, the stuff he's doing with me is so much better. He did some pages of hologram here. I mean, this is really impressive work that he did. So Tony is he's a talented artist, rather cool to be able to throw himself out there. And yeah, this got him out into the Power Comics Hall of Fame. So more power to you. Congratulations on that, Tony. This is Complete Jontar. Let me know what you think, folks. Have you read this book? Have you got any thoughts on Power Comics in general? I'd love to hear what you think. Leave a thought in the comments. But also, don't forget, like the video, subscribe to FANzine Live, and tell your friends, because we do take a look at pretty much everything, including old Power Comics. Thanks for watching, everybody. This is FANzine Live, Classic Zines. I'm Tom, and I will catch you next time.